Hello everyone, it is I7s, and welcome to Module 2.9 Building Basics Hospital. Now before we go over the hospital, one thing that I want to clarify is we will only be going over the buildings and things needed to make the specific room the hospital. There are a lot of medical buildings here, and I won't lie, some of them I don't really use. And perhaps after going over them, buildings needed for the room itself, I may go over ones that I would recommend. But let's get on to the room itself of the hospital. So I would say that a hospital is quite useful, especially if you have hurt or sick duplicants. And it can also be a great place to help reduce the spread of disease. Everyone has their opinions about germs and disease and all that stuff within the confines of ONI. So my personal opinion is that disease in and of itself, germs, food poisoning, things like that, that it's not all that important to really reduce that and limit it at the beginning of the game. But building a hospital for when duplicants get too hot and they get burned or something like that, then that's where it could become really important. For the hospital itself, it requires medical equipment, a toilet, a mess table. It must have no industrial machinery. It has a minimum size requirement of 12 tiles and a maximum size requirement of 96 tiles. Pulling it up in the database, a dedicated medical facility that helps minimize recovery time is what the hospital pretty much does. Spawning in a duplicant, we have Camille. Camille? Yes, Camille. It's worth noting that with the hospital, you can get skills here that will unlock the use of different medical buildings, as well as just improve the medicine skill. And this could be quite useful as well to help have one, essentially a doctor that takes care of another duplicant. Going back to the database for a second, there are a few buildings that are considered medical equipment buildings. This includes the sick bay, the disease clinic, and the triage cot. I highly recommend having the triage cot because then you can have duplicants recover and you can even have a doctor like Camille take care of another duplicant. Now, there's a few things you can do, a few tricks that I have discovered. Let's say you already have a really nice, let's see, washroom. Yes, a washroom in your colony. And you don't really want to have your duplicants use these buildings inside the hospital. You can have it where you disable these buildings. And if we look here, it'll still count as a hospital. They just won't use these two buildings. And although having one triage cot might feel like that's all you would need, I highly recommend having multiple. If you can have a really big hospital room, then that could be really useful. You can build it up to 96 tiles. You can make it long. You could have a lot more triage cots so that your duplicants can be taken care of. And then that pretty much covers everything that you would need for the hospital itself. Now, going over some of the other medicine rooms real quick and just kind of reading what they say and do and my opinions of them. I've not really used any of the other ones aside from the triage cot in particular. I have built an apothecary which produces medicine to cure most basic diseases, which could be useful. The sick bay, let's see, allows duplicants to administer basic treatment to sick duplicants. That could be useful. I have not used the disease clinic building at all, which allows duplicants to administer powerful treatments to sick duplicants. The decontamination shower I've not used either. Hand sanitizer, you can kind of, put those in other areas of your colony if you want. But ultimately, with these buildings, I pretty much just stick with the triage cot and maybe use the apothecary. For those of you that are new to this series, this is just a brute force kind of solution. And and going over some of the basic mechanics of the game. If you are more of an expert in terms of building a hospital, specifically with the other medicine buildings, please leave a comment below. That would be great. Helping new players understand some of these other buildings as well as myself. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. I'm Sevens, and I will see you in the next one.